Great, thanks very much. Okay, so welcome to part two of the It Takes a Village series. Today we're going to be taking a look at the villages of Wellingsley and Chiltonville, which also will include Warren Avenue as well. I think we still have people that are coming in. Maybe I'll give it another minute, but we do have a lot to get through today. As usual, I had a hard time kind of paring down because Plymouth history is just so rich and lovely. So let's see, first off, just want to see if we can start the recording and closed captioned, and then we'll get going. Tom, can you just give me a thumbs up that we're ready to go? Great, thanks. Okay, so again, thanks very much for joining us today. We are going to be looking at Wellingsley and Chiltonville in part two of It Takes a Village. So we have quite a bit to go through, but before we jump right in, I do want to make sure that I thank Tom Comiskey. He's our senior and outreach librarian, and once again, he is helping me out with all of the tech in the background. Thank you very much, Tom. I could not do this without you. And if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to just type them into chat, and then Tom will let me know that there's a question. All right, so we are going to look at Wellingsley first. And Wellingsley is, a village that's on the smaller side of things, but it also seems to have the most names. It was referred to as Littletown, Wellingsley, Hobbs Hole, and Jabez Corner. They're all kind of used interchangeably, or specific parts of Wellingsley had specific names. So just to orient ourselves, I'm gonna look at one of the earliest maps showing the Wellingsley area, and just to orient with some natural features. Right here, we've got Holmes Point, and we have Hobbs Hole Creek coming right into it. So Plymouth Center's up here, and we have the main road coming out of town. And then getting towards Long Beach, we have Poverty Point right here, and Mantor's Point right here, right where the Eel River ends into Plymouth Harbor. So the area that we're going to be talking about first is Wellingsley, which is right in here. So Wellingsley, it was a part of the division of lands that occurred in 1623. So it was settled very early on. And the name Wellingsley can be found in a deed dating from 1639. And then the residents in Wellingsley, the early families, the first families, we have the Bartletts, the Churchill family, Morton, Holmes, Rickard, and Warren families. And succeeding generations of these settlers, they worked in the fishing trades, being right on the shore. But there was also local manufacturing that happened. And they tended to build very modest single family homes, but they built a school, a chapel, there were shops. And what is really nice is a lot of these early names you can still find in Wellingsley today. So that history continues even up to the present day. So now we're looking at a map from 1830. And again, to orient, we are right in the Hobbs Hole area right here, the Hobbs Creek and the point. And just want to have you take a look at this little jog in the road right here. And this is where Sandwich Road takes that turn and goes into Jabez Corner, right in there. And I just want you to note that Warren Ave is not in existence at this time. Still just a farm at this point, and really just a cart way going to that farm. So you can see right here, we've got Cliff Road, and that's really the way to get out to Mantor's Point at this time. But by 1857, we start seeing a lot of the roads that we're familiar with today. And what you can also see is Wellingsley is clearly labeled and delineated, and Chiltonville is right in here as well. So we have Sandwich Street right here, which then moves into Franklin Ave, which then becomes Warren Ave, named Warren Ave. So we have Sandwich continuing here. We've got Obery Street, and this is Coles Lane right in here. So this is where we're going to be looking first. And so like I did last time, I am going to be using a combination of maps and historic photos and historic postcards to give you an idea of what the early village looked like. And while doing my research, I came across this little graphic for the Yankee Traveler motel, which was on Route 3, right in the area that we're talking about. And they chose this as their logo, and it's just a gentleman riding a velocipede. And I did a little bit of research, and I found that Victorian Plymouth had about 4 manufacturers and sellers of bicycles. So very early on, Plymouth was a bicycle town. So we are going to hop on our velocipedes, and we are going to head out of Plymouth Center and into Wellingsley. And
Julie,
so,
if I could interrupt, Julie.
Yep.
Question: is what era was that graphic from?
Oh, the front from the motel. So this one is from the Yankee Traveler Motel, and that is really more. When did they? It was like 1950s, 1960s era, but clearly they took it from this book cover, which is a British book, and it's a hilarious little book. I thought it was great, so I couldn't resist
Very
putting
good.
this up as well. All right. So again, just to orient ourselves, if you attended our first session, you'll remember the training green right here. This was sort of our starting and stopping point for that tour of Plymouth Center. And we're going to take a look, continue down Sandwich Street. And this is that little jog in the road where Sandwich takes that turn right in Jabez Corner. So this is the area we're going to be looking at. But there is also sort of this little no man's land right in here that I didn't include in the last session, but there are very important buildings in this area. So I'm just going to quickly look through them with you all, because I couldn't forget these. So we have the Harlow House on Sandwich Street, and it's one of our few first period houses that still survives. and it was built for Sergeant William Harlow, who was a farmer, a cooper, and a sergeant. And it's sometimes referred to as the Old Fort House because he was given permission to salvage materials from the original fort on Burial Hill and used that in the construction of this house. So the house was then purchased by the Pilgrim Antiquarian Society in 1920. They were able to save it and it underwent a restoration. And so now it is one of the 4 properties that the Antiquarian Society maintains and lovingly oversees. And then a little bit further down on Sandwich Street, we have the Doughton House. Oh, and actually, I forgot to do this, sorry. Okay, Doughton House. So this is another surviving first period house. Again, another modest story and a half, very simple cape, but lovely. And this one actually shows signs that it may have started out as a half cape. Probably this portion right here is the original. And then the other half was probably added on, not pretty quickly thereafter. What I love about Plymouth is that there are still a lot of these early half capes that still survive. And actually right in the Wellingsley, Chiltonville area seems to be a really high concentration of those survivors. They're a nice early housing style, and it survives in Plymouth, which is great. And we're just going to take a quick look at the Doughton House today. So right on Sandwich Street, this is where it now is within this landscape. You can see Sandwich Street heading into town, and it's just tucked kind of right in there. All right, and then we're going down Sandwich and turning onto Winter Street. So this is the Kendall Holmes house, another first period house, this one having a gambrel style roof, center chimney, all really good early features. And this was the home of Sergeant William Holmes before he built the old Fort House on Sandwich Street. And so many generations of the Holmes family lived here. It was at one point a guest house and a museum, and it is currently listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And we'll just take a quick view inside with some great postcards. So we've got 2 interior views. This is the dining room. And what I love is that, again, it's showing some of those good early features with the wide floor planks here, floorboards, and the typical low ceilings of these early first period houses. And then we have a bedroom here, and you can really see how thick the walls are with this really deep window recess, again, showing its nice age. So then down at the end of Winter Street, we have a lovely Grand Colonial Revival foursquare called Oceanside, built around 1890s, and it's overlooking the Plymouth Harbor. Really is a fabulous house on a pristine setting. It was built for, the first occupant was Lorenzo Terry, but today it really is better known as the home of the late Peter Gomes. He was a Plymouth native. He was a graduate of the Harvard Divinity School. And then he later became the minister at Harvard's Memorial Church, and he was also a professor there as well. And he was really a prolific author and lecturer throughout the world, and he received over 40 honorary degrees in his lifetime. Really an active person. But locally, he was very involved in the Plymouth scene and history. He was a past president of the Pilgrim Society, and he was also a preacher at the First Baptist Church right in the center of Plymouth. All right. So now we're going to enter Wellingsley proper. We're kind of at the northern bounds. This is Winter Street where we were just taking a look. That was the Holmes house. And then Oceanside lives right here. And really this intersection is what would be considered the northern end of Wellingsley. But we're going to really take a look at this intersection down here, Sandwich, and this is Nook Road around there. And we're going to just take a closer look at that. And here we are. So I wanted to take a look at this because this is really where the manufacturing area of Wellingsley kind of grew up. So we have Sandwich and we have Nook Lane right here. And then this is the Wellingsley Brook right in here. And just want to take a note that right on this corner was the Hammerworks of Mantor and Blackmer. And those are two very familiar names. They're very associated with the history of Wellingsley, those two families. But also in this area, we have a straw works right in here, typically for making straw hats. And there is a smokehouse in the back, and we have a blacksmith shop right here. So this really becomes an area of manufacturing, probably because, again, the water power. And now we're going to take just a quick peek up Nook Lane or Nook Road. And so just to get you oriented, this is 1934 map. So we are going to go right up Nook Road right here. And then loop right back around down Obery Street. Take a little look right here at this county farm area. And then right back down into the heart of Wellingsley called Jabez Corner. And I just want to point out that even map makers can get things a little off. Right here labeled, we've got Jabez Corner right here and Wellingsley right here, and they really should be switched because this right here is where Jabez Corner is. All right, so we are going to look up Nook Road. And so this is right here, Nook Road, and we are looking west. And just to get an orient, right over this hill is where the new Plymouth North High School is. And then on this side of the road, you can see this pasturage right in here, which is now the ball field on Nook Road. But this was where the Nook Farm Dairy was located, owned by the Avery family. And it was in operation for most of the first part of the 20th century. And what they were also known for, they were distributors of the milk from the Forges Farm Guernseys. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later when we get into Chiltonville. And so now we are just taking that turn right back down the hill, and we are on Obery Street. And we're now taking a look at the county farm. So this is now currently managed by the County Sheriff's Department, and it supports a prisoner rehab program, and it's got a farm market. You can buy plants there. They used to have a really lovely petting zoo and was quite an attraction for families, especially the young kids loved it. Mine did. But unfortunately, it was closed down last year. I hope to see that reopen again. So today, this whole view is preserved. There are preservation restrictions on 120 acres of this farm, and it's really to maintain this very important historic view and part of Plymouth history. And I just wanted to take a quick look at an overhead shot of the Plymouth County farm and what it looks like today. So here we have Obery Street again coming down. And this is the county farm right in here. And what I just want you to take away from this is that you can see how it is absolutely surrounded by 20th century development. So you can see the very stark difference between these housing developments here and this commercial development over here. And right in the middle, we have this 19th century landscape that is really preserved and really important. You can see just how absolutely different it is and why it's important to preserve these landscapes. Not just to preserve historic houses, but to preserve the landscapes that these houses and settings live in. Okay, look at that. That's just fantastic. Okay, so now then a little bit down from the county farm, still on Obery Street. In 1910, there was a new house of correction that was built. It was really quite known for this dome that was built right there. And so this took the place of the jail that was right in the center of downtown Plymouth, right behind the 1820 courthouse, right on Court Street. And this building was actually just recently torn down in 2012, thereabouts, to make way for the new town hall complex that was added on to the back of the historic 1820 town courthouse. And then this 1910 structure was actually demolished in about 2000 when the new facility was built on Long Pond Road in 1994. Okay, so now we are going to get down to the very bottom of Obery Street. And this lovely house is what you see. This is the Churchill house. And the Churchill family was one of the first settlers right in this area. And this house just underwent dendrochronology dating. And that is taking a look at the tree rings in the beams of the house and using that to compare it against other known dated trees, and using that information to come up with a date for the house. So it recently just dated to 1661, and that would be this original old section right in here, making it one of the oldest houses that still survive in Plymouth. And then right down the street from that is the Grapevine Cottage. This is another famous landmark for Wellingsley and Jabez Corner. It's called the Grapevine Cottage because it's kind of hard to see in this, but there are grapevines that come up right here and then grow all along the front of the house. And in the summer, it is just spectacular. And this is another early structure dating to about 1780, right in Jabez Corner. So now we're going to take a closer look at Jabez Corner, which is really kind of the southern end of Wellingsley, but really the heart of Wellingsley. And so this is Jabez Corner right here, and it's right where Sandwich Street takes that little S turn right there. And so it is named after Jabez Churchill, from one of the earliest settlers that lived on the old farm on what is now Warren Ave or Franklin Ave right here. So right in the center is the corner store, and it seems like it has been there forever. And it is another landmark. And I do have to just say I just have to say a quick thank you. Jim Baker gave me kind permission to use a lot of the photos in the next couple of slides. And I do want to direct you guys to his website called jabezcorner.com. There's a lot of fantastic information and history about Wellingsley, but he also, if you're interested, has a really great section called Banished Plymouth, which has a lot of views and postcards of things in Plymouth, that buildings that and views that no longer sadly are with us. But the corner store, it started about 1837. And this particular building on this site started by Harvey Bartlett in 1837. And he ran it up until about 1885. He passed away, and then it was taken over by his son Ansel. And you can see the building has changed a little bit. It's gone up 2 full stories. They've added a porch onto the front, which has sort of become the old codgers hangout. And let's see, and then he ran it until about 1903, when his nephew, Guy Cooper, takes over. And you can see, same structure, 2-story, and has the porch enclosed this time. And I just want you to take a look at this little building right here, just peeking out. This is the Wellingsley School. And then I just want you to take a look at this one right here. This is the Union Chapel building. And we'll talk a little bit about those in the next slides, but I just wanted to point them out to you. So then Guy Cooper, he sold the store to Angelo Barbieri, and he in 1947. And then his sons ran it up until 1973. And then from 73 to about 2003, it was leased out to larger box store chains like CVS. But then in 2003, it has then gone back into more of a family business. And we have the corner store, which is now run by Malik Khan from 2003 and to the present day. And so then this is the Wellingsley School that we just took a quick look at. This particular building was built in 1871, but Wellingsley could boast a public school as early as 1714. It was one of 3 that was in Plymouth. But this particular building, this school closed in 1939, and then it became a grange for a while. And then in 1960, the building was then moved across the street and was attached up to Bradford's store. And here we have Bradford's grocery store on the opposite corner of the corner store. And this also has a very long history for Wellingsley, equally beloved by locals. Started about mid 1800s. And so this photo I like because it shows the original location of the store, where it was right up against the road right here. And then it was later on moved west, and it was pushed right up against right here. This is the Union Chapel that I pointed out earlier. And the Union Chapel, which had been turned into a residence, and the Bradford store gets pushed up against it. The two are kind of joined together. And we'll take a look at that in a few slides. Just didn't want to miss this one. This is right down Sandwich Street. So if we are on this corner, it's kind of like to our back.
Julie, a quick question.
Yep.
So back to the store was,
Yep.
I guess they raised the original before they built what currently is there.
Um, oh, this
What?
one, the
Yeah,
Cooper?
right.
Okay. So from here to there,
Yeah.
it looks like it's on the same location, but it looks like they just went up. So over the course of time, it looks like there were multiple additions and changes done to this house. Even here, this is a later addition. The house was really just this shape, and then this was added on. So from very early on, this house underwent, I think, a total of 14 additions.
Wow. And where
Yeah.
the corner store stands now, there's probably nothing remaining of a foundation from 1800.
Well, it would be buried
Buried.
inside, but we
Yeah.
are going to take a look at that corner. But
Okay.
I didn't want to miss out on the Hobbs Hole House, which is right on Sandwich Street. Again, it is another early house. It was built on land that was originally owned by John Churchill. But the house itself is from about 1786. Again, this nice gambrel feature, 1.5 story. And so it was built for Ichabod Morton, but it's better known as the Hobbs Hole House, another sort of landmark for Wellingsley. And Ichabod and his brother, they had a general store on this property as well. And they had a wharf right on the water right here. And the store was just stocked with goods that came right off their wharf. And what I love about this is that it is just, again, another house that has addition after addition, but they're all gambrel roofs. So there are like 4 structures here, all with gambrel roofs. And we'll be able to take a better look at that right here. This is the Hobbs Hole House today, right on Sandwich Street. And I'm just gonna scooch up a little bit so you guys can see. So we have the original gambrel. Then there's an L in the back jutting out, and that is also a gambrel. And then we have this gambrel edition, and then this gambrel edition. So 4 altogether. I love that. Okay. All right. So the Hobbs Hole House, it was the home to the Morton family for 130 years. And then in the early 20th century, it became a guest house and a restaurant. But today it is an apartment complex. But here we've got a nice interior shot of what the inside dining room looked like for the restaurant. And then we have this nice little advertisement piece right here. Okay, so now we're back at Jabez Corner. And we're gonna start heading down Warren Ave. We're gonna make way for the trolley right here. And I just want you to take a look at these 3 buildings right here. We've got our 4 square right here. And we've got this nice house with the cross gables. And then we have another 4 square right here. And we're just gonna take a quick street view today. So you can see we are still dealing with the same lovely landscape. We have 4 square, cross gable, and 4 square. And then we're going to swing around Jabez Corner and just take a look, because we have, lo and behold, we've got Bradford's right here, grocery store, now Bradford's Liquors. But you can see the original location used to be right here, right up against the road. And you can see how it was just slid down here and attached right up to the Union Chapel right here. And then we're going to take another quick look right across the street. We can see here is Guy Cooper's store. And you can see that we still have, the porch, but the front here is enclosed, but it still remains, it's there. And what's not here though is the Wellingsley School. And we can see it now has become the parking lot for the corner store. And we're just going to take a quick dip down the road and swing back so that we can see. And I really wish this truck wasn't here, but you can see this is where the Wellingsley School was now moved. And so it's now up behind and used by Bradford Liquors. So it still survives. And so this is Jabez Corner today, right there. So a lot of the buildings are still there. It still very much has its identity. It's fantastic. All right, so now we're going to head down Warren Ave. So we are going to be heading down in this direction, Warren Ave right here. And Warren Ave really kind of straddles between Wellingsley and Chiltonville. Where that cutoff is really kind of ambiguous. When does it stop being Wellingsley? When does it start being Chiltonville? You know, it's kind of up in the air. But Warren Ave is a shore road right on the water. And today it's really known for the lovely stately homes that are built on it. It's a really beautiful drive. And then we're going to be really getting into the heart of Chiltonville. The further we go down Warren Ave, we're going to take a turn onto Clifford Road and head down a little bit further down to the Four Corners area of Chiltonville. And then we're going to turn onto Sandwich Street and head back up to Jabez Corner in this direction and just complete a loop around Chiltonville. All right, so one of these beautiful homes right on Warren Ave, right on the water, we have the H.H. Litchfield House, about 1900. It was a summer residence, and it was owned by Henry Litchfield, and he was vice president, along with his brother, of the Brockton and Plymouth Street Railway Company. And so we had the larger railways that made like the major trips from Boston and from Hartford along those lines. But for the local shorter trips, we had these street trolleys. And I just found this lovely little piece on, I love it. So I just want to give us a quick peek at the Litchfield House today. And you can see just, it's right over the water. Plymouth Harbor is right in the back. We've got Long Beach right there, just gorgeous. And it has survived. Very little has been changed to it from the exterior. It's fantastic. And then going a little bit down further on Warren Ave, we get to Mantor's Point. And right here we have this really lovely postcard showing the old road to Mantor's Point. And I love it because Mantor's Point was named after an early settler, Thomas Mantor, but it is still, you know, this little secluded enclave. It's just kind of still tucked in and has this very closed-in community feeling. I love it. And here we can kind of see it. This is Mantor's Point, and it just kind of loops around with all of these houses right on the beach. And then right next to it, we can see right here, this is the Eel River Swimming Club. And this was started in 1929. And it was really started by local families that wanted to have a place where their children could come and learn how to swim. And one of its notable features is it has a saltwater pool. And this still is in existence today. It is still a place for local families to come to swim, take tennis lessons as well. It's really kind of a social center for the locals. And I just wanted to show a quick view of the entrance to Mantor's Point today. And it's still just this very tucked in little road off to the side. We've got Warren Ave right here. And this is the road to Mantor's Point today. All right. And then heading further down, we have Brook Hill House. And so there are a lot of these larger homes on Warren Ave turned into guest houses. That was a popular thing. And they really catered to the tourism industry that was really just starting in Plymouth at this time. And so we have Brook Hill House right here, and just taking a quick look at it today, still survives. And then another one, we have the Lorimar Guest House on Warren Ave. This is looking sort of from the beach and looking into its backyard. This no longer is in existence, unfortunately. It was torn down, and there are actually 2 or 3 houses in this area now. And then right down the street from that, Lorimar, we have what many people are familiar with. We have the Plymouth Patuxent Museums, formerly the Plymouth Plantation. They just recently changed their names. And it was built on the Henry Hornblower estate in 1958. Henry Hornblower convinced his grandfather to kind of tear down their summer residence and start the Plymouth Plantation. Prior to 1958, the museum sort of had its first beginnings right in Plymouth Center, right on the waterfront, where they created this first house replica and then the fort replica. And then it moved out more towards Wellingsley and really developed. And then we move down a little bit more, we get right onto Plymouth Beach. So originally it was an area that was really part of the fishing industry. But now the beach is a favorite spot for tourists and locals alike. And so here we have Long Beach right in here, swinging right around. And this is where we kind of start heading back up a hill again. I would be remiss if I did not put Burt's in here. This is a much loved local spot, restaurant that is sadly no longer. The building is still there, but it has received so many damaging hurricane forces, nor'easters, that it has closed down for good, it looks like. But it seems like most Plymouth people have a Burt's story. All right, and then heading up the hill, we come across another one of these really grand hotels. And it is right on the top of the hill and really kind of overlooking Plymouth Harbor. It started out as Clifford House right here. And it's right on the corner of Clifford Road and Warren Avenue. And then in the early 20th century, it was given this lovely colonial revival makeover, and it was renamed the Hotel Pilgrim. And sadly, this building also, like the Samoset House in the center of town, it burned down and it is no longer. I really wish one of these grand hotels had survived. So when you were staying, you could stay in one of their private bungalows that they had on the property. You could take a stroll in their lovely Victorian gardens here. And you could also play a round of golf. So the hotel was luckily situated right across the street from the Plymouth Country Club. So it actually had 3 holes that were on the beach side of the Warren Ave, and they were accessible to the hotel patrons. So here we have the Plymouth Country Club. This is the first building, about 1910. And we'll just take a quick look. And that is the Plymouth Country Club today. It has expanded quite a bit. Okay. So from the top of Hotel Pilgrim, we are looking north, and we can see a lot of these houses springing up, again, part of the summer beach tourism that is happening. We've got Long Beach stretching out into the harbor. And then we are looking south from Hotel Pilgrim, and it swings right around Warren Cove out to Rocky Point. And what I love about this is that right here, you can see the Stone Estate that is on Rocky Hill Road. And most of the point was part of this estate until later on, when a good chunk of this area was then became part of the Pilgrim nuclear site. So one of the last mansions that we will look at, this is Hilltop Mansion Guest House on Warren Ave. So this is sort of on the very far end of Warren Ave, and kind of marks the end of what I would call Chiltonville on Warren Ave. So we're now going to take that turn down Clifford Road and get into deeper into Chiltonville. So this is the Clifford Warren House, also on the National Register, dates to about 1695, and it's believed to be the third house built on this original land grant of Richard Warren. But it was the first home of James and Mercy Otis Warren. This was right after they were married in 1754. They lived here for about 4 years before they moved into the center of town. And we'll just take a quick look at the Clifford Warren House today. And you can see it is been changed a little bit on the exterior, changed quite a bit on the interior, unfortunately, most recently. But here it sits right at the top of Clifford Road, and this is Warren Ave right here. And so now we're going to head down Clifford a little bit. We've got the intersection of Clifford Road and River Street. So this is River Street coming in, and this is Clifford right here. And so we've got the Eel River kind of ending right here. And we've got, this is the view from the bridge of Eel River looking north from the bridge. And then this is a view of the bridge right here, and you can see Hotel Pilgrim right in the background. And this area right in here is historically significant because it is believed to be the area where there was an attack as part of the King Philip's War. So late 1600s, there was a garrison house here, and it was attacked by warriors of King Philip, and details are a little sketchy. You can kind of find different tallies, but it is said that 11 people were killed in that attack, which is right in this area here. So now we are at the opposite end of, we're at the end of Clifford Road, where it is right at the Four Corners area. And this is really where we start getting into the manufacturing history of Plymouth, or the manufacturing history of Chiltonville. So we have a zinc and copper rolling mill on Forge Pond, 1850. So we have Forge Pond right here, and we have all of the mill buildings that you see here are these mill buildings right here. We'll just take a quick look And you can see this is the location. We have Forge Pond right here. We just zoom in a little bit. This is actually right where those buildings would have been, but they no longer are there. And before we go, I just want to have you see this really lovely open pasturage right here. Just take note of that. We're going to be looking at that a little bit later on. And here we are. So now we have the Eben Jordan estate called Chilton Hall. The Eben Jordan estate was really developed by Eben Jordan Jr. His father was the partner of Jordan Marsh, the department stores. And so it started out as sort of a summer hunting lodge, but Eben Jordan Jr. really developed it, changed the hunting lodge into a triple gabled English Tudor gentleman's farm, started purchasing land, and the estate was over 2,000 acres at one point. And I just wanted to point out, so this was the field that we were just looking at. And right here we have the riding rink, the academy indoor riding rink, and then there's this whole exercise ring right here. So it was really part of the whole estate complex. So the state was really known for its Guernsey cows and its Hackney horses. And I hope that I can convey just the vastness of this estate. Here we have another lovely view. So here you can see the three gables of the Chilton Hall. This was the first set of stables that were built, and then that larger complex would be off to the left here. And that's what you see right in here. But the estate really continued all the way in this area, all the way back where Forges Field now is today. This complex had a casino, which was a gathering hall, which could seat 400 people, and it was used for services for their English staff. A social hall, and it also housed all of the fire equipment that they had because the estate had its own fire department. Along with this casino, they also had the indoor riding area. There was a blacksmith shop, a trout hatchery, there was a game preserve, and there was a bird farm. And there was this barn complex, dairy barns, which could hold 30 head of cattle, they're Guernsey cows. And they also had this greenhouse complex, and they grew a lot of the produce for the estate themselves right on within these greenhouses. So then down the street, we are getting to the Russell Mills. So this is right on Russell Mill Road and Jordan Road, right on the corner here. There's Russell Mill Pond. Started out as a rolling mill and a nail factory, but then in 1827, it was changed into a cotton mill. And by 1872, it employed about 100 people. And many of them were young women that came down from Nova Scotia to work the mills. And this whole building complex is no longer there. But as far as manufacturing in Chiltonville, there were also, they were producing lamp wicking, silica, bricks, nails, rivets, and staves. So the Eel River really provided the power for all of these mills. And it's very interesting because right now Chiltonville is just known as a very bucolic farming community because it has a lot of preserved land, open space. But its 19th century history was very heavily steeped in manufacturing. So now we have Hayden Mill. This is right on Sandwich Street. We're heading back up. This was a 6-story factory. And it was about 1812 to about 1913. There were 40 looms. It employed 60 people, another huge manufacturing area. So we've got Sandwich Road. And I just want you to take note of all of these tenement buildings. These were housing provided for the workers. And then this little blip right here, I want you to take special note of, because here we go. Today, this is really, that little blip is all that survives. Been converted into just a little house. And so this is where that whole 6-story mill building would have been. And you can see it's absolutely, you would never know. But that little enclave of housing still exists today. And just follow this little road right up here. And there is a ring of those houses today.
Remarkable, Julie. As we're heading to midnight, to noon, we
Yes.
kind of have to wrap it up.
Yep. Okay. I will swing
Okay.
very quickly through. I think I have just a few more.
Been remarkable.
Yes. Okay. So then right in the shadow of the Hayden Mill, we have this old red house, this old survivor. Well, actually, sadly, it didn't survive, but it was another landmark for Chiltonville. And then we get right up into the heart and soul of Chiltonville. So we have Bramall's Country Store, which began its life around 1750 as various industries. But the Bramall family took it over in 1828, still running it today. And it is a very treasured local spot. And I have to let you all know, I was super excited that the opening weekend is this weekend. And then right in the back there, we've got the Chiltonville Congregational Church, built in 1840, this particular one, but the steeple had to be replaced because it was lost in the hurricane of 1938. And last one, we are right now up at Jordan Hospital. So this building was started in 1903, and the major benefactor was Eben Jordan. And right before opening, the building burnt down, and Eben Jordan donated more money and they built it again, and it was opened in 1903. And I'm just throwing this out there because this is called the Mystery Cottage. And I have tried to locate this. If anybody can help me solve this mystery, if they know where the Mystery Cottage in Chiltonville is, please let me know. I am trying to find this one out. Okay, and so then that is it. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me at the Plymouth Public Library. Be happy to answer them. I ran a little bit over and talked too much as usual, but I love my Plymouth history.
Julie,
and we are going
great.
to just do a part 3. It's going to be North and West Plymouth on June 15th. At 2021 at 11 o'clock. It's a Tuesday again. And just another quick thank you for Tom for doing all of the background stuff. And another thank you for Jim Baker for allowing me to borrow some of his photographs. And please visit jabezcorner.com. And if you're interested in some more history on Wellingsley and Chiltonville, there are 2 books at the library dealing specifically with those villages and their history. Okay.
Excellent.
I think we're going to wrap it up.
And I didn't see any new questions, with just 1 or 2 comments, but everybody appreciated it. And we are going to, the one in June will be again virtual, but we have another part 4 and 5, which we're debating about doing as a hybrid, meaning we could have a limited number of people in the building and then everybody else could watch from home. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for attending. And thank you, Julie Burrey.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Have a good day.
Until next time, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.